Warning? Spoilers ahead for Alice in Borderland and Squid Game. Alice in Borderland and Squid Game are both among the most riveting offerings of the Battle Royale subgenre, but one of them arguably fares slightly above the other. While Netflix's Squid Game needs no introduction considering how it amassed 1.65 billion hours of viewing in 28 days after its premiere, Alice in Borderland is a relatively more obscure battle royale thriller that rose in ranks after Netflix redirected Squid Game's audiences towards it. Both TV shows draw their primary appeal from their series of shock and awe action scenes and deathmatch games, but a closer look at their themes and characterizations suggests that there is more to their overarching narratives than meets the eye. On the surface, Alice in Borderland unfolds in an alternate desolate Tokyo, which is a battle royale battleground for a few chosen players. However, beyond its Ready Player One-esque narrative, the Japanese drama draws several parallels to Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland and shows how the wobbly pillars of a broken society skew human morals. Squid Game has a similar setup but is more grounded in reality instead of having supernatural connotations. Unlike Alice in Borderland, the Korean drama's games ensue in a real-world location, and there is also a grand prize on the line for the last man standing. With similarities galore, the two shows almost seem on par with one another when it comes to their entertainment factor. And since both rise well above their violent action scenes and leave viewers with many a thought-provoking question, they are both undeniably essential to the genre. However, overall, Squid Game still seems a notch above Netflix's live-action manga adaptation Alice in Borderland because of the solid foundation and universal appeal of its ideas in Season 1. Abe has great performances, but Squid Game brings more character depth and diversity. Alice in Borderland sets up the stage for its fantastical dystopian world by using only 3 primary characters: Arisu, Karub, and Chota. Through a series of ingenious games, the show drives its narrative using the buddy dynamic of the 3 characters, but then suddenly eradicates Karub and Chota in episode 3 to add layers Arisa's characterization. While this proves to be a risky move for Alice in Borderland's overarching storyline, the promising performances of all 3 actors make it emotionally stirring and worthwhile. Unfortunately, after Chota and Karub's departure, Alice in Borderland relies more on its bombastic action and complex mind-bending games to please viewers instead of focusing on character development. Squid Game introduces a diverse roster of characters from the very beginning and takes its time to weave engaging personal narratives for all of them. These personal narratives effectively evoke empathy, even though the characters mindlessly follow the shallow pursuit of winning a grand cash prize. Ultimately, Squid Game's inclination towards character development pays off incredibly well, since each character's eventual doom is heart-wrenching and equally significant to the show's storyline. Squid Game also breaks racial stereotypes and highlights the struggles of immigrant workers through Abdullalah's storyline. While most other players of the game have their eyes set on the prize, Ali never loses sight of his morals and only shows up at the games to help his family. Even though Ali is a secondary protagonist in Squid Game's plot, his arc proves to be the most poignant as it shows that no matter how much he tries to fit in, his honesty and hard work remain unappreciated and unrewarded. Squid Game's themes are more realistic and relatable. Alice in Borderland harps on the fear of the unknown by revealing almost nothing about its overarching mystery. In its first season, it only establishes that there are invisible supernatural forces behind its world building and games, and humans have only created subsystems in its supernatural world to make sense of their ambiguous surroundings. While the supernatural elements remain shrouded in mystery throughout the first season, the human subsystems have some intriguing political undertones. Alice in Borderland also touches on other deeper themes surrounding trauma and isolation, but it only manages to scratch the surface of these in its first season. In contrast, Squid Game's popularity can be attributed to its real-world allusions to class disparity and capitalism. By using satire, Netflix's Squid Game alludes to the negative impact of capitalism on modern societies, especially on those who belong to the lower-income classes. Its characters often lose sight of their morals and sense of justice, while chasing the game's grand cash prize of 45.6 billion won, and this makes them far more relatable than the ones in Alice in Borderland, because greed and classism are prevalent even in the real world. Squid Game's exploration of anti-capitalist ideas is not as meticulous and narratively inventive as the one in revered Korean classics like Bong Joon-ho's Parasite and Snowpiercer, but its violent depiction of class warfare hits home nonetheless. Alice in Borderland has clever gameplays, but Squid Game is more immersive. Alice in Borderland includes high-concept gameplays that usually demand intellect and strength from characters. This, in turn, gives somewhat of an unfair advantage to quick-witted characters like Arisu and athletes like Yasagi. Since Squid Game's gameplays are based on real-world playground amusement, most of them are easily comprehensible and seem fair for all the characters. For instance, the tug-of-war in Squid Game initially seems unfair, since it is considered a strength-based game. However, Old Man Oll Nam's simple strategic twist to beat a much stronger team proves that the show's games give every player an equal opportunity to win. Owing to these reasons, Alice in Borderland's gameplays are fun to watch, but Squid Game is more immersive. While Squid Game emphasizes the overall dynamic of all the participants, Alice in Borderland relies on twists and turns to captivate with its gameplays. This gives Squid Game the upper hand because its simple yet mesmerizing games always serve a purpose in the show's overarching plot. They either force the characters into situations where they cannot help but work as a team, or put them in dire circumstances where they act on impulses and betray their own friends to survive. Conclusion: why Squid Game is better. Despite having some evident plot holes and inconsistencies, Squid Game wins out over Alice in Borderland because of the seriousness and urgency of its subject matter. Both shows have many similarities in the beginning, but drift off in polar directions in their second halves. While Squid Game sticks to the emotional drama it introduces in its initial episodes and brilliantly turns childhood nostalgia into something terrifying, Alice in Borderland mixes its post-apocalyptic drama with way too many over-the-top action scenes and loses its charm in the pursuit of forcefully upping the ante with each survival game. However, with that said, the answer to which one's better can be subjective in this case, since it comes down to what a viewer is looking for. Alice in Borderland has more of a live-action anime adaptation appeal, like Netflix's Cobra Kai, owing to its manga-esque character tropes, supernatural mysteries, and surreal Tokyo cityscapes. Meanwhile, Squid Game gives a glimpse of Korean culture and remains emotionally resonant throughout its runtime without compromising the quality of its games. All in all, both shows have their own appeal and will likely improve in their upcoming seasons, but Squid Game seems to be the clear winner for